Good evening. This is Micah Miller, aka Eminem Wirt, and to the set, I'll be the host. I was in the last podcast as a guest. That time, Kyle Solis was hosting. The first topic today is who's your favorite composer and why?
Diego, you want to start?
Yeah, so one of my favorite composers would be Bach because his
1 second.
um,
I mean, do you have any? Yeah.
one of my favorite composers is Bach because his counterpoint is like really amazing, and
Right.
I don't think anyone can compare to Bach's counterpoint.
hmm
I think he's a really great composer.
Yeah. I think Bach is probably one of my favorites too because I don't know. It feels natural playing it on the piano. It's one of the most rewarding types of music to play, and also Chopin's nice because all pianists like Chopin, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you, Micah?
I agree with all of you. Probably one of my favorite concertos is just the Bach Double and Suzuki Book 4, not just the first
Bach
movement,
double, yeah.
but the full thing. If I was to go beyond Bach, though, who I think is probably the master of all composition, I really enjoy Chopin,
Yeah.
Vivaldi. I could go on.
Beethoven.
Yeah, Beethoven, Moonlight Sonata, definitely. Violin-wise, I like Wieniawski.
Oh, him. All his music sounds so hard.
Yeah,
Is it?
it is. I'm learning Polonaise Brillante at the moment, but we could get to that a little later. So is there any like other composers, like if we were to compare Bach to Mozart or Bach to Beethoven, how would we rate them? Would you say anyone is better? Do you think we could even compare them in their terms of greatness?
I don't think you can really rate them because they're both great in their own ways. They're all great, and I mean you can't really say one's better than the other. But there's certainly I mean Bach is easier for me, I guess. Mozart's really really hard because there's no faking Mozart. I mean I guess there's no faking Bach too, but I don't know.
Are there any,
Mozart's just really hard. What?
Are there any pieces you're learning at the moment by Mozart?
Nope.
Okay. At the moment, I learning Sonata in C major.
By Bach?
Piano. Mozart's Piano Sonata.
Oh.
I can't remember the opus, but
K545. That one.
I think so. It's.
Yeah, piece.
I mean, I think technically it's not as hard as some other pieces I played, but phrasing wise, it is probably Mozart in general is just very difficult phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Diego?
So he's
You're cutting out.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Your connection signal is low.
Yeah.
Maybe wait a little bit until you get into a better location,
zone.
and then we'll be back. Moving on to the next topic. What pieces are you currently learning on your respective instrument or instruments?
Let's see. Do you want to go first, Micah?
Okay. At the moment, I'm actually learning several pieces. It's in the summer, so it's not exactly as
Oh boy, yeah.
as like set as if it was during the main,
Mhm.
as if it was in like the school year. But the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, first movement, the
Right.
Saint-Saëns Violin Concerto,
Ooh, the B
move,
minor one.
yeah, a number 3,
Oh,
movement 3.
okay.
Um, sort of a little bit of Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And then Polonaise Brilliant by Wieniawski. That's
Mhm.
on the violin. And on the piano, I just finished Impromptu in C sharp minor by Reinhold, and I'm
Don't know.
working. It's I can play a part of it actually through the podcast, so people would listen, and then
All right. If you want to, sure.
um, and then also there is I'm working through that Mozart sonata.
The C major.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, so it's the summer, and I'm doing a lot of stuff this summer, of course, and I have so much music to learn. So my piano teacher has this. She came up with this idea where 6 of her best students each learn 4 of the 24 Chopin preludes, and we're going to have a recital sometime in probably October, no, November or something,
Okay.
where we all have a collective 24. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have 4 Chopin preludes to learn, and I have, if you want to know, B major, which is very short and it's quite simple, it's nice. G sharp minor, which is annoyingly difficult,
Yeah.
and E flat major, which is probably the hardest one. Just look up the sheet music and you'll see what I mean.
What's the full name?
The Chopin Prelude in E flat.
Chopin Prelude in E flat
Yep,
major.
major. Yeah,
Okay. Images.
and then also the B flat major Prelude, which is nice.
I see lots of triplet eighth notes.
Yeah, leaps and jumps, and it's awful.
Yeah. What's the tempo at?
Really fast.
It sounds like it. Looks like it definitely. It says
So,
allegro.
oh, is that E flat minor? Because yeah, I'm talking about E flat major.
Yeah, I see part of it. I'm getting images for both of them, and they look rather similar.
Yeah, the E flat minor one is unison, and you know
Yeah.
E flat major is all. I can try to link a picture of it in the. Well, whatever, you'll find it. It sounds pretty. It's just really difficult.
Yeah.
The Chopin Polonaise Fantasy, which is a huge, huge piece. I've been working on it for a really long time, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever played, definitely. And also Beethoven Sonata Number 30 and the Schumann Piano Concerto.
Okay. I'm not as well versed on piano pieces as I
All
am
right.
violin pieces. I'm trying to keep up though.
Hey, I don't know much violin pieces because I don't play violin, so.
Yeah. So
Is Diego?
he's still not here.
Yeah. I think he's trying to. Yeah. It says connecting.
Yeah. So while we wait, which piece would you say is the hardest out of
Of the
all
ones
the?
that I'm learning right now,
Yeah.
probably the Beethoven
Okay.
Sonata Number 30,
Um,
because it's
He's here.
one of the 3 last sonatas he wrote, and he was like completely deaf, and it's written like in the last year of his life,
Oh, cool.
and so it's super hard to understand. It's enigmatic, and it's weird and amazing.
Yeah. Diego, do you have any pieces you're learning at the moment?
I'm wearing the Chopin Waltz in C sharp minor, the
Ooh,
Minute Waltz?
Beethoven,
Is it the Minute
um,
Waltz?
I think that's in D flat.
Oh, yeah, that is. Okay.
the Beethoven Piano Sonata number 1, Opus 2.
Oh, the F minor.
Yeah,
Right.
F minor. And I'm also learning the Grieg Piano Concerto in A minor, which
Ooh, I'm learning the Schumann one.
is hard. Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're similar. Oh, 1 second. 1 second.
Okay. Diego, are you still there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep. So is there any pieces you're learning on the violin right now?
Me?
Yep.
I'm learning the Bach double violin concerto in
that's
D
cool.
minor.
Ooh,
I really like that one.
Yeah.
me too.
Not just have you? What about any pieces that you've strove or have been striving for to want to learn? Any pieces you want to learn?
I actually think my current program consists of many pieces that I've always wanted to learn, including the Beethoven Sonata Number 30 and the Chopin Polonaise Fantasy.
Oh, that's cool.
And I mean, they're so hard, but
Yeah.
they're rewarding. And I have to learn Bach piece because my piano teacher wants me to enter in a competition in December
That's
where I have to
cool.
learn a contemporary piece, sonata, a romantic piece, and a Bach piece. And so I'm also going to learn a Prokofiev scherzo, which is one of the coolest things I think ever written. Because I think
That's fun.
Prokofiev's the best.
Yeah. I listened to your composition where you imitated Prokofiev. That was really good. Like,
Hi, Moon.
that was really good. At least for me, I think on piano, there's been two I've been striving to learn. The first one is the third movement of the Moonlight Sonata, and Chopin Fantasy Impromptu.
Wait, did I imitate Prokofiev in any of my compositions? Or was that someone else?
I think it was you.
I think it was I Eat Toothpaste.
Oh, maybe it was him.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the piece that he copied or that he was inspired by is the piece that I will be learning.
Oh, yeah.
1 second.
But that was amazing.
Yeah, it is really cool because Prokofiev is like insane. It's this piece. I just linked it in case you want to see it later. But
It's playing.
oh, oops.
No, it's fine.
I mean, I can't hear it, so.
Well, yeah, it's in the podcast though.
Oops. Well, maybe you want to stop it.
Yeah. Well, at least it gives people an understanding of what's actually going on.
Yeah. I mean, will they be able to hear it in the live stream?
Yes.
Oops.
Well, it's fine. That was kind of
Okay.
the point that I was. Anyway, moving on to the third topic: over practicing.
Over practicing or just practicing in general?
Well, over practicing, not just like practicing, but
Oh,
like when
boy.
your parents like force you to practice 8 hours in a day right after school, and you can't do anything else, then just practice your instrument.
It's not usually my parents who force me to practice. It's my piano teacher because my piano teacher doesn't. She says she doesn't trust anyone who practices less than 4 hours a day.
Really?
Like that's unrealistic.
I think so too. Especially that means she doesn't trust Chopin, because Chopin didn't let any of his students practice more than 4 hours.
Yeah. Because my piano teacher's like straight out of the Moscow Conservatory. She's like 68 years old or something like that. She's crazy. She's so hardcore and she's really mean. She doesn't really speak English that well, but she's a really good teacher. So
that's good.
And also, my school is super intense, but I mean, I don't have school now, so it was really hard to find time to practice.
Yeah.
When I did have school, but practicing sucks, honestly.
Well, for me, I think it depends.
Right. Depends on the piece.
And I don't really spend as much time as that. It really depends. If you just spend like your entire time practicing, I think it could get really boring, I guess.
Yep.
For me, I practice in several different ways. I at least spend an hour and a half to 2 hours actually practicing like the pieces that I'm learning, but I also play at my church 4 days a week, and that's just straight improv. And so I can work
Huh.
a lot on my
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I can work on my ear and my technique, on my bow hand, my bow
Right.
arm, and my fingers, intonation.
That's pretty cool.
So it ends up adding up, but it
Right.
makes it interesting. Diego?
Um,
No, Diego.
Oh boy.
um,
Well, Diego,
yeah,
can you hear Micah?
Oh.
Oh, you can't hear again.
Oh boy.
I can. Just I couldn't hear what the topic was.
Oh,
It
okay.
it was over practicing, like 8 hours a day. Kind of, you can't do anything else. You do school, you eat, and then you go to bed. You practice and you go to bed. Kind of that kind of life.
Yeah.
I don't
I
do
think
that.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't practice that much.
Oh.
I mean, I practice at like 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay.
I
I
probably practice less than that average. Because, well, at least when I had school, I definitely practiced a lot of times less than an hour a day because I had just so much homework
Yeah.
and work on. And there's just so much of, my piano teacher thinks that she yells at me whenever she finds that I have any sort of social commitment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, for me with school, that definitely affects my violin. But I mean, when you add everything else, especially in the evenings, it still ends up like it's like you can find ways to, I think, like adapt and still
Hmm.
be musical in ways, even if you can't actually like practice or if you're somewhere else. Even just like listening to music, I think in a degree is like practicing if you're ear
yeah.
trained.
Structure and other things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I find practicing Bach is, not easy, but it's the least exhausting because all of his music is so like rigid in structure and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, things like I don't know the Chopin Polonaise Fantasy, for example. It's like a big improvisation. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Hence the fantasy, and so it's really difficult to both understand and practice. And so I don't know. It's the first time I really experienced any kind of fantasy sort of piece.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've listened to a couple like fantasy impromptu, and I really get what they're
right, right.
saying. I think though that it really adds a lot. It's not exactly predictable, and when the chord, you think it'll go somewhere, but it doesn't. And
Hmm.
it when you really
Yeah.
like look into it more than just the first like glance, it really
Right.
starts to be like you really start to enjoy it.
Well, that's true. Also because it just there's just this long flow of good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to listen to. It's just because well, I mean, I guess I haven't tried many methods. So
For me at least, I've done several different things. I kind of end up doing a combination. I'll listen to a piece. I'll like read music at my church. I
yeah,
actually we learn all the songs strictly by ear. There's
okay,
no sheet music, and to be honest, I think there's not really any certain way that is better than the others. I think it really depends on the person. Like if you aren't
okay,
trained by ear, then probably sight reading is the best way for you to go.
right,
Um, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't not ever try to learn or try to develop your ear. But I think, as in the best way to practice, I think there's no specific way or the most
right.
productive.
My
It
my
varies.
piano lessons, like the foundation of the music. That's not like every single note. I don't know if I'm describing it well enough, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Okay. What about you, Diego?
Um, the most efficient way of practice, I think, would not be to like jump directly into the piece and like that's kind of what I do. I practice the wrong way sometimes.
All right. Yeah, because I learning new music sucks.
Yeah, I really hate it when you just learn it wrong and then you have to go back over it, and
Oh
it's
my
so
god.
much harder, especially on the
Yeah.
violin. If if you learn it the intonation wrong, or if you learn it when your strings aren't actually in tune, then you have to relearn the entire finger placement for the section.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about piano. You don't really have to. You just have to know what notes to press, but I don't know. It's really hard to take out the sound that you want. And I mean, I know nothing about the violin, so
Well,
absolutely zero.
well, for the violin, it's more like you have the bow hand in your right hand and you have the
Right.
fingers in the left hand. And so the main thing, there are a couple different things that are really challenging with the violin. The first is intonation.
Mhm.
That's probably the biggest thing overall, because there's like, unlike a guitar, there's no frets, and so you can move your finger
Right.
a millimeter to the left and right, and the
And
note's
it'll
going to be
change
out
the
of
note.
tune. Yeah. On the other hand, the second most difficult thing is getting a good quality sound with the right arm.
Yeah.
The most common thing is that your arm is going to tense up, and especially when you're playing really fast, like,
Shaky bow.
yeah. But even more than that, when you play at speeds like 180 to 200 beats per minute, and you're playing separate bows, they're so short that it's almost impossible to if you aren't used to it, your arm, it just tenses up to the point where the bow stops moving completely.
Yeah, I think that's like that in piano too. I mean, there are some things, some pieces, a lot of pieces. I've played a few of them that are just so technically demanding
Yeah.
that your wrist and your arm just sort of give up. They didn't give. I don't know. They like just stop working. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
why practicing those like uber hard pieces really is painful. Like literally painful.
Yeah, and I know I'm not even really close to doing anything technically like extremely
Dangerous.
difficult.
Yeah.
All I know
Well, not
is
dangerous. Sorry.
I think the most I've played is 144 to the quarter note, playing 16th notes at 144. At the violin, I've gone up to like maybe 180, but I really haven't gotten anything extremely serious yet.
Hmm.
But I can definitely understand what you mean. Um, just especially when you dive into a piece that you really is on a technical ability beyond anything that you've done before.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say anything? You've been pretty quiet.
Um, for the practicing,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like jumping in is and sight reading like the thing is kind of bad. Like you could learn your mistakes, and like that might be the reason it might be painful or
Right.
not.
Right.
So like if I sight read the first few pages of the Grieg Piano Concerto in A minor, which was a very bad idea because I learned a lot of fingering wrong and everything.
Yeah. Fingerings are the worst.
Yeah, it especially if you learn them wrong. If you're not paying attention and then you
Mhm.
just sight read, you end up learning them wrong, and it
And the
ends up,
teacher kills you for it.
well, not
Yeah,
just that, but then you're wondering why
Can't
this
play it.
part is like so hard. It's like you realize, oh, I'm doing the wrong fingering, and then it's even harder because you have to unlearn that fingering, which is a chore in itself.
Right.
yeah.
Um, so do you want to move on to another topic, or?
Sure. Do we have any other topics though?
Yes, there was one that you had put in before. Pieces that we're composing at the moment, if
Ah.
applicable, or
Right.
arranging
Okay.
or transcribing.
Okay.
all the way until it turns into Camden, and then here.
Who wants to start?
You can start.
Me? Okay. Well, so first thing I'd say is I'm in the middle of one that I've been trying to create as a backlog for a longer project that I think I'll be
Okay.
working on. It's kind of for a band, and I'll be having a live violins piece in it. Part kind of improvisatory. It's for it's a birthday present to a friend of mine.
No, that's nice.
So I'm trying to get it in for that. While I work on another piece, which is probably going to take me a very long time, and I don't know if I'm really up for the task yet. But
Okay.
I like to write a symphony, and I really
Ooh,
don't know if I
you could
can.
try.
I
I
could
think,
try.
yeah, about big pieces. I mean, I just uploaded 2 things, which is about the most I've uploaded in a month. About 2 things at a time.
Yeah.
And so I'm only composing one thing right now, and it's a big piece. I'm starting to write a piano concerto.
Oh, cool.
It's really hard,
Yeah.
and it's in five. The time signature is 5/4, and
Oh boy.
5/4 is really cool. 5/4 is
Yeah,
the best.
it is really cool. Like when you first see 5/4, you think, how
Oh
can
no,
someone ever
yeah,
count in that? But then you get the hang of it, and it's really cool. What
it
really
is
is bad is stuff like
7,
7/4 or 3.5.
17.
Yeah, when you get into that weird stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so
What
um,
is that?
is there any like basis for your piece, or any structure you're working on? Anything that it's meant to be based off of?
Well, I've only really gotten. Let's see, how many measures have I done? I've done 46 measures. But I mean,
Okay.
I have kind of an outline of what I have to do. I mean, I have the first theme, which isn't really a theme. It's just like stuff in the piano, and then um, and I have another theme that I've written out by hand actually. So I've
Okay.
been planning out essentially like the outline, what's going to go here. So all I have to do is put it together. And also something interesting about this is that like the Beethoven Choral Fantasy, which is a really cool piece.
Yep.
Um, this piano concerto also has a choir,
Okay, that's really cool.
and it's fun to write with. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun to see what moving things around, see what things will sound like.
Yeah. I know.
Also, I think the
Yeah.
most annoying thing about 5/4 is that there's no one note that's like can equal 5 quarter notes.
Oh yeah.
So it's like there's so many ties in this piece.
Yeah. I bet that. And another thing, like, so how? What key did you say was in again?
This one,
Yeah.
my E flat minor.
E flat minor. Okay. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Um, is there any like progression that you're working with?
Well, so the thing I've really been working on, so there's like a short orchestral introduction that's
Uh-huh.
like it starts with only so the cellos and the double basses have this constant sort of Mission Impossible type rhythm.
Yeah.
Um it's hard to explain, but it's like yeah, whatever. But I'm not gonna try. But it's like they have this it's like a pedal point that they have for the entire you know all the music that I have written so far has this pattern in the cello, as in the basses
Yeah.
and the cellos, and then I've just been adding, layers up until 3/4 where the piano comes in.
Okay.
It starts at 3 pianos, so I mean, there's quite a lot to. It's been difficult to write because it also Muse Score 3 is super glitchy.
Yeah. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know what's
more
up
times
with
than I
it.
can count.
Like, I actually I don't know what's up with it. I mean, the features are pretty cool, but it
Right,
just,
it's so bad.
I mean, did you see that one YouTube person who did a review on MuseScore 3?
Nope.
I'll have to find it later, but anyway, he seemed to like it, except for a few things. But going back on topic, Diego, is there anything that you're composing or arranging at the moment?
Yeah, I'm writing the second movement to my violin sonata right now, but
Oh, cool.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I heard the first movement of that. That sounded cool.
so it's kind of starting to sound a bit varying. The melody is like a turn followed by a few like eighth notes and quarter notes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Diego, you there? Oh boy.
Not
Okay.
again.
Well, I
Oh,
got.
sorry about that.
Oh,
I had my mic muted.
okay.
So the melody is like a turn followed by a few quarter notes and eighth
Yeah.
notes. But then I hit composer's block, and
Z.
it started not sounding very good.
All
Yeah.
right.
And yeah,
I'm sure it'll sound fine when it's finished.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool. For me, I'm just kind of planning the symphony out right now. I haven't actually really started writing it down.
It's cool that you're writing a symphony.
I
What key are you going to write it in?
E minor. Well, it's kind of
E minor?
weird at first because it starts off. It's an E minor 7 chord.
Oh, nice. That's what I'm doing with my piano concerto. It's a lot of
Oh,
like
yeah.
spicy, seventh chords, and but with the
Yeah.
same E flat pedal point, and so
Yeah.
it's all like crunchy.
Yeah, but so what I'm doing is I'm having the woodwinds kind of alternate between just going eighth notes, just repetitive eighth notes, kind of arpeggios on that chord,
Uh-huh.
and then I have the cellos playing a melody, and I just stick with that chord for a
Nice.
little bit, and then I have a transition going from the E minor 7. It's actually a third inversion, and then it goes. I change from the bottom D to a
Right.
C, and I changed the B on the top to an A, and so I kind of transition it to, I think it's a the seventh. Is it a B7? B7 chord back to the E
Okay.
minor.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Well,
When do you think it's going to be